Good afternoon, guys. Today is a good and a bad day. We're here with another episode of Potting with Shalon, and we have on hand a task, something of a challenge. So this is a desert rose that I would have taken from a neighbor just a few minutes ago. My neighbor identified that they're of the opinion that the plant is dead because it has, as you can see, it has gotten soft and dark and there's a brown spot, which indicates that it is suffering from rot. Right? What we're going to attempt to do today is we're going to attempt to, and I apologize for all the little noises and whatnot, but we are going to attempt to save this plant. And how we're going to do that is that we're going to wash off the roots, wash away all of the dirt, and attempt to cut away the rotted bits of the plant, all the parts of the plant that no longer have proper life in it. Because what happens with desert roses, something that happens with desert roses, once it has a rot spot, if it is not attended to, if it is not attended to, it will act as a cancer and it will spread throughout the plant and eventually kill the entire plant. Now, it feels a bit firm down to the base here, and as you all can see, here is darker than usual. So first things first, we're going to wash away all the dirt from the roots, and we're going to look at removing all the rotted roots, all the rotted bits, and then we're going to apply some cinnamon and leave to dry for a few days, hoping that we could save this plant. Right? As you can see on my table, I have my rubbing alcohol. This is to sterilize the cutting tools that I'm going to use, because I don't want to add insult to injury and introduce more bits that could kill the plant if it's not already dead. As I said, we're going to do our very best to save it. This is a challenge, a welcomed challenge, and this is going to be a learning experience for us all. Alright, so we're going to get into it. So first things first, we're going to wash away all the soil from the roots. Alright, so you just saw that exercise with washing away the soil from the roots. So with that, now we're going to look at automatically this is rotted away, so we're going to look at the root system and try to remove all the infected bits and see if we could salvage this plant. Something to note, but if you look at this desert rose properly, it does not have a codex. And the reason it does not have a codex is because this was originally a cutting. This was a branch that was cut and planted, and eventually it will grow in size, but it will never get a codex like a desert rose planted from seed. So that is something to note. If you get a cutting, it will grow like a tree with a trunk, but it will never develop a huge codex like a plant that grows from a seed. Right, so something to note. So let's get to work on these roots and see what we could take away. So as I'm cutting away the roots, you know, I'll talk to you all. Ooh. So I would have sterilized my tools already. And automatically now this is a video that I'm going to post, sink or float. I'm saying it, I'm posting it because this is a learning experience for everybody. So what I'm going to do, I've started already eliminating some roots and looking at what we could keep from what we can't keep. So every piece that has a rotted spot, we're going to eliminate. And as we're eliminating, it will reveal to us what is really happening with this plant and if the plant could be saved. This seems as though I don't know, you know, guys. By all intents and purposes, this does not look like a plant that could be saved. I'm going to cut this this bigger piece on top here. To see how badly the root rot goes. Look at that. This is the problem here. This problem is a water problem. This plant has been overwatered and has been immersed in water for quite some time. And desert roses don't like to be overwatered or have too much water. This, as you can see here, it looks pretty much alright. So this looks pretty much alright. This doesn't feel firm at all. So I'm going to cut here. Alright. My blade is getting a little dirty. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to apply, I'm going to do a bit more cleaning to my blade. As I said before, guys, this is a shot in the dark here, because you realize what is happening with this plant. And what we are attempting to do is to see if this plant could be saved if we utilize the techniques that other folks have used. We're going to attempt to see if we can save this plant. So we're going to cut. This is a good piece that we're going to leave to dry, and I'm going to attempt to plant this. If this catches, this will be classic. This will be a classic. Oh, father. Extending the blade, and I'm going to cut again. This, wow, this is a bit of a situation we have going on here. Now, one of the things that I said in my last video, you never know unless you try. You never know unless you try. This plant, by all intents and purposes, and for what we understand about desert roses, is a dead plant. By all intents and purposes, it seems to be a dead plant. A live spot. So I am going to this is not going to be pretty at all. I am honestly making this up as I'm going along. I am going to cut here and try to heal over this cut point with the dry with cinnamon. Cinnamon is the key. I'm trying my best to not have to sacrifice or to deem this as totally dead, because I want to believe that this thing could save. I want to believe that this thing could save, and if this could be saved in any form of fashion, yes, this is not a good looking job, not in the least, but you never know, and you will never know unless you try something. You will never know unless you try something. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to apply in heavy quantities cinnamon to this. It is not pretty. It is not pretty at all, not in the least. This is a trial, right? We took away these bits, all of the roots. This is one good sturdy root. I'm leaving this. I took away all of this from it, and I'm going to apply cinnamon to this plant. In an attempt to save it, we're going to leave it drying out for several days, probably a week, maybe 2. You never to know, based on the progress, if there is any progress at all. Right? So I am going to apply cinnamon to this now. damage. There's a lot of damage. This is a lot of water damage. Even the bark on it is loose. Ooh, wow. Folks, if this works, if this work, talking in my train language, if this work, this going to be epic. If it doesn't, it's still a learning process. Now remember, we cut this earlier. This was the top piece that I am going to apply a little cinnamon and let this dry out. This is very firm. Let this dry for a couple days, and we're going to come back and look at this. What we're going to do when this dries for a couple days, we're going to cut away a little bit of the bark around the bottom, dip it in a little bit of rooting hormone, and we're going to plant it and hope for the best. And we will see if a new plant could be formed from this cutting. I have never seen it. I've never seen nobody do this. We're going to try it. Right? Remember, guys, if you like the information, hit the like button, subscribe, share with your friends. This is very informative. This is informative to me because I've never experienced a situation like this before. So this is a first for me. So we're going to apply some cinnamon to this. I'm sure people probably smelling it and feel, well, somebody baking something around these parts, because there's a lot of cinnamon that I would have applied. Guys, I'm applying without so this is done here. This is what was taken away. As you can see, a lot of it was taken away. Look at this. This is soft, very, very soft, drenched with water. We're going to attempt to see if we could save this bit. Sorry for the poor camera work. And if you hear the dogs again, that's the neighbor dogs. Don't worry about it. But as I said, when you're dealing with your desert roses, even if you notice any spots that seem as though they're soft, you could give it a little nick. Make sure that it is not turning black. If it is turning black, then you need to pay special attention to it. Right? Remember, with desert roses, you cannot overwater. You cannot. I can't stress that enough. You cannot overwater it. It does not take kindly to too much water. Right? And folks, if you do try something, you will never know. And we're trying something here today. We're going to come back. We're going to come back and look at this in a few days and see what is the progress, if any progress at all. If no progress at all, then it will be solidified that this plant is actually dead. If there is progress, then we can say that there are ways, you know, certain plants can be saved, or desert roses can be saved. You know, this is a very, very extensive piece of cut work that has happened here. I've never seen a desert rose shaped like this before. A lot of people not going to find this very gorgeous. They may not want it, they may toss it away. But we're going to use this as an experiment. Right? And if this works out, as I said, it's going to be glorious. If it doesn't work out, we still have a lot of information. So, guys, that's it for now. You know, Thank you for joining me here with Potting with Shalon, and I'll see you soon. Alright? Bye.